Hello viewers, welcome to Ekam Academy. In this video, we are going to discuss about FCRA. Why it is in news, what is the issue about FCRA, why government want to control foreign contributions received in Indian NGOs and all, what is the origins of this FCRA, what is the criticism that FCRA Act is facing, and what are the recent amendments that were made to FCRA. All these things we are going to look in this video, so stay tuned till the end. So we are discussing here why it is in news. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, when it was brought, what are the features of it, how registration can be done under FCRA, how cancellation, on what grounds cancellation can be done, what are the new rules that were brought in 2022, and what is the significance of this recent amendments. All these things we are going to discuss. This is part of GS paper 3, Economic Development and Mobilization of Resources. Then why it is in news, if you have seen in the recent news only, we have come across that 1,111 NGOs got FCRA nod in 2023 and 30 NGOs got clearance in January 2024 itself. Okay, so if you have seen last year, there are so many NGOs that were declined as FCRA permissions or clearance from the Ministry of Home Affairs. If you have seen, there are allegations that made by the political parties that Rajiv Gandhi Trust, all these things were also declined FCRA permissions and all. What is the stand of the government? Why this issue is coming so much in news? All these things we'll discuss. So before that, you need to know what is this act aiming at. Okay, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. So regulation in terms of foreign contribution. Foreign contribution means any NGO, okay, non-governmental organization operating in India, if it wants to receive money from abroad, means any individual from foreign country or any organization, if it wants to sponsor Indian based NGOs, then that contribution is regulated by the government. What is the reason? Because any country, other country may use this foreign contribution and they can threaten unity and integrity of the country to protect the security of the country. So government, if the amount is crossing 25,000 rupees, if below 25,000, you need not take any permission from the Ministry of Home Affairs. But if it is, the amount is exceeding 25,000, then you need to take the permission from Ministry of Home Affairs. That is what the main purpose of this Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. So what is the origin of this act? It was brought during emergency, okay, or 1976 period, because at that time during emergency there were some speculations that foreign countries are trying to destabilize India and all these things. At that time, the government of India has brought this mainly to regulate foreign funding into India. Then objective is regulating foreign donations. This is very important for prelims. It is implemented by Ministry of Home Affairs. Most of the people will get confused with Ministry of Finance, okay, because, or they can also think it is Ministry of External Affairs, but do remember it is Ministry of Home Affairs. Then this act was amended and in 2010. What is this amendment 2010 and what is recent 2020 in amendment, and what are the new rules that were brought in 2022? All these things we are going to discuss. So here, what is the relationship between an NGO and FCRA? So this is important because any NGO, if it wants to get money from abroad, foreign country, then it has to apply for registration under FCRA. That is mandatory if you want to receive foreign funding only. Okay, it means in domestic level there is no requirement, but in the foreign country, if from any foreign country if you want to receive, that has to be registered under FCRA. So validity is, once you register, it will be valid for 5 years, and Home Ministry, according to the data, if you see between 2016 and 20, government cancelled how many? More than 6,600 NGO licenses under FCRA. That is why this is so much in news. So why NGOs have to be regulated? Because it is very important that IB also had inputs. So whenever any application is submitted to get FCRA registration, Ministry of Home Affairs will forward that particular application to Intelligence Bureau. So this Intelligence Bureau will examine, so whether they are actually serving for the purpose only or whether they have any connections with other country organizations. So all these things will be examined. Then also they will be checking whether they are filing income tax returns annually or not. So these things will be regulated, okay, otherwise it may threaten the country's stability also. So it was brought during emergency in 1976 mainly to regulate donations to the individuals and organizations, okay, and in 2010 and 2020 FCRA was amended, major amendments, and it was implemented by Ministry of Home Affairs. And you have to see what are the features of this act. FCRA requires every person or NGO seeking to receive foreign funding has to register under the act. Okay, registration is mandatory if you have to receive more than 25,000 rupees with Ministry of Home Affairs. Then you have to open a bank account where only under SBI Delhi branch only. Okay, so then you have to utilize the money only for the purposes which you are stating. Okay, so when you are applying, you have to state for what purposes you are receiving those funds. Only for those purposes you have to use those funds, and you cannot transfer these funds to another NGO. That is what another important feature is. And you have to file annual returns, how much you have received, how much you have spent, all these things have to be filed and must not transfer to another NGO, as I told you. Then what is prohibited? This is important. So normally any exam if you prepare, features is important, and most important is what is not allowed and what areas it is not applicable. These things will be focused because most of the people only reads features and they ignore these things. So act is prohibiting the people to receive foreign funds. Who are those people? Mainly candidates for elections who are contesting elections. They cannot receive any foreign funding. Journalists or newspaper people, broadcasting companies, all this also prohibited under FCRA. Judges and government service, because if they receive foreign funding, government servants, they can be subjected to conflict of interest, right? So that is why they are also prohibited to take foreign funding. Then members of legislature and political parties also, they cannot take foreign funding from FCRA, and also organizations of political nature. Okay, if you have in the recent times electoral bonds are also introduced. Okay, so this is also so much in news, right? At that time foreign money is also not allowed. And you know, registration under FCRA, how it can be done? It can be done by individuals or organizations, but they have to state for which purpose: cultural, economic, educational, religious or social programs for which they are applying has to be stated. And NGO has to submit application. MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, will conduct background check through IB and all these things. Then it must approve or deny the application within 90 days only. Okay, so whether they are granting this license, FCRA license or not, should be stated within 90 days. It is valid for 5 years and it is renewal within 6 months. You have to renew. Okay, means again you have to submit application for renewal. On what grounds it can be cancelled? So here you can say right to revoke any NGOs in case if it violates, means if it is not engaged in reasonable activity, in which for whatever the purpose you state, if you are not using the money for that purpose, then your registration can be cancelled. And public interest, if you are violating public interest or if you are doing anything against public interest, then also your license can be cancelled. And also irregularities in accounts. Okay, in case if there is any, in annual returns has to be filed, right? In case if there is an irregularity also, that license can be cancelled. And ineligible for re-registration for 3 years. Once if it is cancelled, for next 3 years you cannot register. And suspending an NGO's registration for 180 days. Okay, in case if any grounds of these things are violated, for 180 days they will be suspending. Then they'll examine whether it happened actually or not. And all government orders can be challenged in the High Court. Okay, so in case if there is a conflict between NGO and government, that means Ministry of Home Affairs, then you can go to the concerned High Court. Okay, in which state your NGO is located, there you can go and challenge the decision. Then what are the new rules that were brought in 2022? Increasing the limit of foreign contributions. Previously Indians were allowed to receive up to, now 10 lakhs can be received from the relatives. Okay, like without informing the authorities, but previously it was only 1 lakh rupee. Okay, now it was increased to 10 lakh rupees. And increasing number of days to inform authorities. Now if the amount is exceeding the 10 lakh rupees, individuals will now have to 90 days to inform. Previous it is only 30 days. Now you can inform the authorities if it is crossing 10 lakhs within 90 days of time. Then organizations receiving foreign funding will not be able to use more than 20% of the money for administrative purposes. Administrative means for running that organization, or if you want to pay any salaries for the employees. So the money of the foreign funding cannot exceed 20% of it. Okay, then previously it was 50%. Okay, in the name of this, most of the NGOs are misusing their money. That is why they have made it more stringent. And information about bank accounts. So amendment rules are giving the rule that individuals and organizations have 45 days to inform the Home Ministry about the bank accounts for which they are using this foreign funding and all. So now what is the significance of this move? Why the FCRA rules are being more strengthened? So enhanced sentences, because if previously 1 lakh is only allowed. You know, if it is allowed for 10 lakhs, now more people will try to send their money home to their relatives and also that is increasing remittances. And you know, remittances are part of current account or capital account. Which one? Answer in the comment section. Okay, then curb the outflow of funds. Outflow of funds means in the form of investment, money can come into India. If any Indians are staying in abroad and earning there, they can send money if there are some easy in the norms and all. And stabilize foreign exchange reserves. It also reduces trade deficit. Okay, in the form of trade also it can be reduced. So then what are the challenges or the government viewpoint with respect to this FCRA? Zero tolerance against intervention means in case if you are misleading the provisions of the act, we are not going to tolerate. And also diversion of foreign funds is happening, means most of the NGOs are using or stating some purpose, but they are not using the funds for what are the purpose that is stated. And fund flow also will be monitored because so many organizations are using it against the country's interests. This is the viewpoint of the government. Okay, so now this is the time for prelims question. You can see here, with reference to Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Act, consider the following statements. It reduced the limit of usage of foreign contribution for administrative expenses from 50% to 20%. FCRA is implemented by Ministry of External Affairs. Which of the following statements given above are correct? One only, two only, both, neither, one nor two. Okay, answer in the comment section. Then question for mains. The government regulation on NGOs at a time when the country especially requires robust civil society organization and networks is not desirable. Critically analyze. Okay, so here the question is with respect to more stringent civil society. Okay, so how it is playing an important role in the NGO sector and how the government is regulating. It is not more desirable for like government's intervention in terms of civil society or NGOs is not desirable. What is this aspect of? Okay, what is your viewpoint? Critically analyze. Okay, so this is the entire video about, we have discussed what is FCRA, what is the amendment passed in 2010 and what is amendment passed in 2020. We have seen new rules issued under FCRA, which is a nodal ministry, why the government is taking FCRA seriously and it is implementing it more stringently. We have seen practice question for prelims and mains. This is all. Thank you.